Welcome back to News 46. Transgender people in Oxford, Alabama could now face 6 months in jail for using restrooms labeled for the gender with which they identify. The Oxford City Council passed the ordinance this week after the retail giant Target announced it would allow transgender employees and customers to use the restrooms they feel comfortable with. Target has a store in Oxford. In the ordinance, the council says people in public restrooms do not reasonably expect to be exposed to individuals of the opposite sex while utilizing those facilities. Those violating the ordinance could face 6 months in jail or a $500 fine.
Desert View Hospital celebrated their 10-year anniversary yesterday with an open house.
We are happy to say that today is the exact day that we've been open 10 years. So April 27, 2006, we opened our doors, and here we are.
What's the difference between then and now with the hospital and the growth?
Wow, that's a loaded question. We have gone from seeing basically 5 patients a day to well over, well, we see, we have 25 beds in our 25-bed suites. So that's generally pretty much full almost all the time in our...
I'm very encouraged by today, Deanna. We had just a tremendous turnout. All the visitors from the community that came in, the physicians, the board members, the medical staff. What a wonderful way to celebrate Desert View Hospital's 10th year anniversary.
Tell me about the difference between then and now.
Well, I wasn't here then, but I've heard a number of stories. Obviously the number of patients that are here were pretty small, and the ER, it just started out maybe around 30 patients a day, maybe 5 to 7 5 to 7 patients in the inpatients. Well, now our inpatient side is just about full every day. We've gone from maybe 10,000 patients a year to we're 18, almost 19,000 patients a year in the ER. There's new equipment, almost throughout the entire organization. So the level of care that Desert View is now able to provide to the community, I think is quite a bit different than when it started 10 years ago.
I have had multiple positions here. Been very proud of the progress and the activity that's gone on here at the hospital and the lives that the hospital has actually been able to save.
How long after the hospital started did you start here?
I was here about 2.5 years after the hospital started. Actually, about 3 years.
Tell me about the growth.
The growth has just been amazing. Most importantly, the services. The physical plan has pretty much stayed the same. Had to change some things around, but the services that are offered here at the hospital are significantly different than when we opened and continue to evolve as we move forward.
What do you think about the community, how much it's been able to use the hospital and what that has meant?
Well, I think certainly the utilization of the emergency room has gone up exponentially. I heard some numbers today that it's up about 32% just this year, and people using the emergency room. Prior to the hospital being here, there was a lot of people that just didn't make it. So we're grateful for the opportunity to have emergency room physicians here 24 hours a day that take care of people, the opportunity to get them to a higher level of care if they need that, but most likely try and keep them here so they can stay in their community, stay with their loved ones, and get better.
We caught up with Lieutenant Governor Mark Hutchison and Assemblyman James Oscarson at the Valley Electric Association annual meeting held over the weekend at Pahrump Valley High School.
When I was told how many people would be here, I was a little skeptical, and I came out. The gymnasium is full. It's great here. Great to be, with the Trojans and with the members of the Pahrump community and the Valley Electric customers who are going to be at their annual meeting today and going to talk about a lot of the exciting things that are happening out in the Valley.
I know you're the keynote speaker. Is there some items that you're going to focus on?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm very impressed with. And I'll talk about a lot of things about America and about Nevada, but I'll tell you I'm also going to focus on what's happening in this community and throughout Valley Electric's customer base with the broadband internet connection and the connectivity. That's huge for rural Nevada. And I'll tell you what Valley Electric is doing in that regard is cutting edge and is a pattern and a model for the rest of the state. So I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about how great it is that Valley Electric is involved in the charging stations for electric cars and how the electric highway is being developed in Nevada, and Valley Electric is a big part of that.
It's kind of amazing to see this company come from rural business here in Pahrump to its expansion, which you can see obviously has something to do with the management of the organization.
Well, I've toured Valley Electric's facilities and talked to their management and their leadership, and they're visionaries, and they are people who want to take care of their customers. And I think as a result of that, you're seeing the company grow and expand, and people really trust them and believe that they've got the interests of the customers at heart.
It's a great opportunity for me to represent District 36, but when you represent a company in the district like Valley Electric is, and the things that they're doing that will be the envy of every rural community in this state, and how they're diversifying and how they're doing broadband to all the homes. It's just an amazing process, and some of the legislation that we passed during the last session is going to require the infrastructure that many communities don't need and don't have. Not don't need, they need them, but that will be able to now do telemedicine and telehealth and some of those things where you don't have to go to the doctor every time. And with the speed and intensity of the broadband that's going to be here in this community, I think you're going to see a tremendous growth spurt for businesses coming here and being able to do things. The other thing I think is great is the traveling and those kind of things will be significantly reduced. As you know, they're cutting edge with the electric highway, put the charging stations up in Beatty. Faraday is coming out with vehicles that are basically going to be, hopefully drive themselves to some degree. Google's working on the cars that are going to drive themselves. Nevada's poised to be on the cutting edge of all that technology. So you heard the things about aerospace. Nevada is diversifying its economy. Pahrump's going to be a big part of that.
We'll have your entertainment this week when we return from break.